All right, our top story in the breaking news right now. In a shock move, weeks ahead of the Lok Sabha polls, Election Commissioner Arun Goel has resigned. His resignation has also been accepted by the President. The Election Commission of India already had one vacancy. Remember, there are always three election commissioners, the Chief Election Commissioner and then the two other election commissioners. Already there was one vacancy and it will now be left with only the Chief Election Commissioner, Rajiv Kumar. Well, to talk more about these developments, we're joined by Nikunj Garg on the phone line. And Nikunj, what do we know at this point about the resignation? Arun Goel was meant to retire only in 2027, and this is a very surprising announcement just weeks ahead of the general elections.
Well, indeed, surprising it is. Surprising it is. Maybe with the passage of time, maybe in a days or in the coming days, in a day or two, either Mr. Goel clarifies about the sudden step that he has taken, or the government, puts out some reasoning as to why Mr. Goel chose to step down. So the fact of the matter currently is that because we are in the poll season, because we are amid such hectic, all-round poll preparedness, and EC being the complete supervisor of that, EC being the complete independent third-party monitor of that under the scheme of constitution, this becomes surprising, and many may describe it as shocking as well. So we don't know, but at this point in time, when you and I speak, we only have the Gazette notification from the side of the President, from the Rashtrapati Bhavan, accepting Mr. Goel's resignation. Now, what reasons has he forwarded to the government? If at all any reasons have been forwarded, we are certainly not privy to at this point in time. And maybe once we get to know those reasons, this doesn't appear to be so sudden or so shocking. However, in the past, as I said, that newspapers today itself are detailing out the situations where in the past less than full strength of the election commission. Remember, the strength of the election commission has undergone change at various points in time in history. Less than the full strength of the election commission has conducted the entire passage of the general election. So at that point in time, they were discussing one vacancy. This vacancy came out in the form of Mr. Pandey retiring last month from the poll body. And that happened only in the latter part of the last month. Now, suddenly, you have a situation where Mr. Rajiv Kumar, former member of the IAS, like Mr. Pandey and like Mr. Goel, who has resigned today, is now left only at the helm of the affairs, supervising the entire poll process. Now, whether it continues or whether government will be quickly able to call the meeting of the poll panel. Even at this point in time, Gargi and I are not even privy to the fact that whether government has actually called that meeting. Because remember, LOP now, for the amended CEC Emolument and Appointments Act that the government got passed in the last session of the Parliament, is a member of that poll panel. So we are not sure whether LOP Ajit would be able to make for that meeting. Because remember, hectic campaigning is now on for the Lok Sabha polls. So the fact remains that
right, Nikunj, so whoever will get appointed now, this will be the first appointment post this new law, which where the election commissions are appointed by a majority vote of the Prime Minister and one of the government ministers.
Absolutely. It will be the first appointment. LOP would also be for the first time party to it, because remember earlier it was completely government's prerogative, which got changed, and Supreme Court also got LOP included, the Act included the LOP, and therefore now it will be for the first time that the leader of opposition would be member, and therefore, as I said, it is yet to be seen whether quickly that meeting can be called, quickly these appointments can be made, or Mr. Rajiv Kumar is the sole person going ahead and conducting the general elections 2024. So, sudden developments for sure. I will stop short of calling them dramatic, but sudden developments for sure. And in coming days, as far as the independent constitutional monitor of the general elections are concerned, the Election Commission of India, that space would be interesting to watch out for.
All right, Nikunj, thanks so much for joining us. With that, already some reactions are coming in. Trinamool Congress's Saket Gokhale also putting a post out saying this is very, very concerning, coming just ahead of elections. And moving on to more news on the Election Commission. In fact, the Election Commission is going to be visiting Jammu and Kashmir next week from Monday to Wednesday to assess when polls can be held in the Union Territory and whether simultaneous elections are possible along with the general elections. Remember, the dates for the Lok Sabha elections are likely now to be revealed immediately after the Election Commission team will return. And the Commission's visit to Jammu and Kashmir comes after the Supreme Court had directed it to hold the elections in the Union Territory by September. So now this assessment will be done. Well, let's go across to Sunil Prabhu now for more. And Sunil, dramatic developments on the Election Commission front. But before that, the news was that the team is going to be going next week to assess the situation in Jammu and Kashmir.
That's right, Gargi. In fact, even Election Commission officials are completely surprised at the developments. This is really dramatic. This is, in fact, shocking, to say the least, because as you're well aware, Mr. Arun Goyal was appointed as the Election Commissioner on the same day he resigned as an IS officer. In fact, that was one of the criticisms when, the full Supreme Court bench was hearing this entire matter. And on that day itself, they said, how can Mr. Arun Goyal resign and then be appointed as the Election Commissioner all in 24 hours? But having said that, the Election Commission is expected now, and I'm really we'll have to wait and see whether the Chief Election Commissioner will go ahead with this visit 11th to the 13th. That is the schedule that they have. Hopefully, they will keep it going, because there have been instances where the last, of course, was the TN session time, when the government attempted to club his will and brought in MS Gill and then GVG Krishnamurthy. So Mr. Mittal will go ahead with the plan and then, finish it off on the 13th. And then hopefully the country will know on the 14th or 15th when elections will be announced. Of course, they have also got a top security briefing. Some were saying that Mr. Goyal's health was not well for the last 2 days, but everybody is completely surprised. So we'll have to wait and watch and see whether they go ahead with the J&K visit, which is scheduled from the 11th to the 13th. And then, of course, the date for announcement of elections for everybody from the 14th to the 15th. So a lot of points that will take place. Just to, inform our viewers, the process for appointment of the Chief Election Commissioner or election commissioners was earlier completely with the government. Then a 5-judge Supreme Court bench decided that it should be the Chief Justice of India, the Prime Minister, and the leader of the single largest party in opposition, or the leader of opposition, whichever it is available. That has now been replicated with an amendment in Parliament to allow the the election commissioners to be appointed by a panel of the Prime Minister, the Home Minister, as well as, of course, a Minister of the Prime Minister, any cabinet minister, and the leader of the single largest party, replacing the Chief Justice of India. These developments come also in the backdrop of a full constitutional bench, which will hear on Monday morning the 5, very, very important aspects of the electoral bonds case. There is a contempt petition, and there is a request from the State Bank of India to postpone. Technically, on the 13th of March, the Election Commission was to publicize that entire list. So these are dramatic developments. The world is watching. This is a large democratic exercise, India's largest election, and really on the anvil, Mr. Arun Goyal, career officer, has been the DDA Vice Chairman, Secretary to Government of India, a tough man, and now deciding to resign. We'll have to wait for that official reason to be given, but definitely everybody's wondering about this surprise decision.
That's right. And already reactions coming from the opposition, Trinamool Congress, calling it very, very concerning. Thanks so much, Sunil, for joining us with those details. Well, let's now discuss about the Election Commission team that is to visit Jammu and Kashmir next week. That was the big focus on the show today. Though, of course, now these dramatic developments have overtaken the news. And as Sunil was saying, we'll have to wait and see whether the team indeed goes to Jammu and Kashmir next week. But before that, the Prime Minister has had a packed day today. Remember, he's been in Kaziranga this morning, he was in Arunachal Pradesh, then West Bengal, and now in Varanasi, where he held a road show, and he's doing a puja currently in the temple there in Varanasi along with the UP Chief Minister. This is in the Kashi Vishwanath temple in Varanasi. The Prime Minister there doing prayers to wrap up this very packed day that he has had. As we said, it started with a safari in Kaziranga and Assam, where the Prime Minister saw rhinos, and then there was the inauguration of the tunnel in Arunachal Pradesh, a very key and strategic tunnel in Arunachal Pradesh, and later a rally took place in West Bengal's Siliguri, where the Prime Minister had hit out at the Trinamool Congress in the state, and again hit out at the opposition over their Parivarvad comments. Then in the evening he arrived in Varanasi, where again he has a packed day tomorrow. There was a road show in this earlier, and this is the Prime Minister's constituency, and now conducting or attending a puja there in Kashi Vishwanath temple, along with the Chief Minister of UP, Yogi Adityanath, there sitting behind him. Right, the Prime Minister there offering prayers at the Kashi Vishwanath temple in Varanasi, ending a packed day he had, which began, as we said, in Assam, then Arunachal, West Bengal, and finally in his own constituency. But let's now get started with our discussion of the big topic of the day, and we're joined by Ifra Jan, spokesperson, a National Conference, Saeed Sohail Bukhari, spokesperson, PDP, Mohammad Amin, a former Joint Director and Chief of Protocol, Election Commission of India, Tuhin Sinha, spokesperson of the BJP, and Aditi Fadnis, and senior journalist, all joining us. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. And we were going to discuss the Election Commission's visit to Jammu and Kashmir next week, and whether simultaneous polls are even possible with the general elections, whether that is something that the Election Commission was going to assess. But now the news coming in of one of the election commissioners resigning, and I just do have to get a reaction to that. Mohammad Amin, your comments on this news. It's a very surprising development to have an election commissioner resigning weeks ahead of the Lok Sabha polls.
Just listening to Mr. Sunil, actually, very surprisingly, we are not expecting this time to be election commissioner has to be resigned. Actually, it is a very tough time for the Election Commission of India. And next week, they are going to visit, as usual, visits for the states like Jammu and Kashmir on 12 and 13. I don't know what is the reason behind it, but it's not good for the Election Commission of India. Why? The reason will come out later on, as Sunil told us.
Because already there was one vacancy in the Election Commission, in the panel that you have. It wasn't at full strength of 3 officers, and now you have 2 vacancies there. Aditi Fadnis, your reaction to this news, and then of course the reaction to whether your comments on whether simultaneous polls is something that you think will be possible in Jammu and Kashmir, and that's interesting that the Election Commission team will be going next week.
Well, to be honest, since the Election Commission became a multi-member commission in the 1980s, I do not recall a single instance when any election was held only with one election commissioner. So that in itself is a bizarre situation. On top of that, right now you have one election commissioner. He can't be in 2 places at once. So is he going to go to Jammu and Kashmir, or is he going to stay here and supervise the developments which are currently going on? I mean, it's a very strange situation. I'm hoping that some decision will be taken soon, and there will be a multi-member election commission very quickly, because as it is, it was short-staffed. On top of that, now it's just one member. we hold up the Election Commission of India as an example to the rest of the world. We advise, African countries and other countries how to hold elections. And now you have a regrettable lack of consensus because there are no members. So I hope that the situation is corrected soon because it does not look good.
Absolutely. Ifra, Jan, say first to you, your comments. Now, we're waiting to find out whether this election commission team even goes next week to Jammu and Kashmir to make that assessment, because as Sunil was telling us, even the officers he's in touch with are taken completely by surprise by this resignation. But in Jammu and Kashmir, excitement that soon the elections will finally be held after we're in the 6th year since elections were held in Jammu and Kashmir.
You see, I would like to remind the viewers that the last time we had a state assembly election in Jammu and Kashmir was back in 2014. So it's literally been 10 years since people have actually voted in an assembly election. The assembly elections were due in 2019, and the BJP government found one or the other reason to delay the elections. So one day it said the delimitation commission is not taken place, delimitation is not taken place. Then they said now we have to revise the voter list. Then they said we have to re-revise the voter list. Then they said we have to re-revise the voter list. So there were literally 3 to 4 voter lists that they came up with. And even now at this point, we are not sure if they will adhere to the Supreme Court guidelines. And again, a reminder, this has probably been the only instance in the history of independent India where the election commissioner and the government of the day was forced to conduct an election that was due for 5 years by the Supreme Court. That in itself is an alarming situation. Whether the BJP adheres to the Supreme Court guidelines or not is a different question. And the third thing, as a topic of the debate suggests, that should there be simultaneous polls in Jammu and Kashmir with the Lok Sabha? We have seen it is the BJP that keeps harping on the idea of one nation, one election. So probably this is the best time to begin one nation, one election by conducting polls in Jammu and Kashmir. The thing is, if you have security arrangement, if the security scenario is good to conduct Lok Sabha polls, there is no way the government can say the security scenario is not good to conduct assembly polls. And
all right.
And if you're already getting the security, might as well just do it for the state assembly elections as well. And one last point, Gargi, I would want to remind the viewers that not only have the assembly elections not been conducted, even there are no sarpanches, there are no municipal committees, because last year the term of the sarpanches got over and the government is not even conducting the local body or the sarpanch or the DDC or the BDC election. So there are no municipal committees.
Suhail Bukhari, your comments on this, the holding of simultaneous polls. We're still waiting to find out whether indeed the election commission team will be going next week to Jammu and Kashmir. But your comments on this?
Well, many of our panelists have expressed surprise, and they are terming the current developments as they are unfolding as bizarre. But having said that, even if we talk about the full strength of the Election Commission of India, we in Jammu and Kashmir, have been left with too much to desire from this commission for the way that they have conducted themselves as a statutory constitutional body. When it comes to delivering on what they are mandated to do. Let me share with you that I was in a meeting with the Election Commission of India almost a year back in New Delhi, and I had raised several questions vis-a-vis why the very fundamental rights of the people of Jammu and Kashmir to vote and to choose their own people to govern them, why they were kept away. And the Chief Election Commissioner, in presence of the full commission and other officials, told me, see, as far as the commission is concerned, we are absolutely ready. It's just for the security and the weather conditions. We are just waiting for the government to tell us. On the other hand, for the last 5 years, the government has been harping, just like a broken record, that the situation in Jammu and Kashmir is the finest ever. The security situation is fine. Sab changasi. So it's for the Election Commission to take a call whenever they want. We are ready. They even went with an affidavit to the Supreme Court during the hearing of the Article 370 and other things. So by this way or the other, what we have seen that the current Election Commission has acted as an extension of the BJP government, and BJP as a political party trying to, fulfill their agenda in Jammu and Kashmir. And
All
the
right,
bedrock
well,
of that
let's
agenda being
get
that
Tuhin
the Jammu and
Sinha's
Kashmir
comments
has to
on
be
this, and also
kept off their rights.
all right, Tuhin Sinha, first this, this breaking news, Arun Goyal resigning as the election commissioner, absolutely taking everyone by surprise, even the officers in the election commission.
Well, good evening, Gargi. Good evening, everybody. I don't think party spokespersons are mandated to speak on developments in the election commission. Certainly not until we get to know the authentic reason behind it.
Which we're all waiting to find out what the reason is, yes.
So I think my comments should be reserved until then. See, as far as elections in Kashmir are concerned, the government of the day, the BJP government, is committed to restoring the democratic process. But what Kashmir has witnessed in the last 4 years is a cleanup operation of an unprecedented scale, where Pakistan-based terror outfits and Pakistan-based brokers had to be weeded out. That obviously, needed time. But I think we are very close to the elections, and the elections anyway are mandated to take place before or by September. So I think we should wait for that. And yes, it is the Election Commission's prerogative to decide whether, the simultaneous polls can take place or not.
Right, we still need to right now, confirm whether indeed this team will even go, given these, developments that have taken place. But yes, Ifrajan, you had a reaction there?
2 points. Firstly, India cannot allow a rogue country like Pakistan to suspend the fundamental rights of its people. We are a very strong nation, and we cannot allow our neighbor to say, okay, because you're there, we will have to suspend the rights of our own people. We are much stronger than that, and we should act like that. That is for one. The second thing is that it is the Election Commission's prerogative to conduct elections, yes, but for that, the Election Commission assesses the security situation of an area, and it doesn't do it by itself. It gets the report from the Home Ministry.
All right.
Itself is a part
well,
of the
can I quickly rebut?
Quickly, because I want to go to Mohammed Amin again on the breaking news developments.
The National Conference spokesperson is talking a lot of logic, a lot of sense, but that also contradicts what Farooq Abdullah has been saying. He's enamored of Pakistan, and even after the abrogation of Article 370, at least on 2 or 3 occasions he has asked. At least on 2 or 3 occasions he has asked for dialogue with Pakistan to be resumed. If you have such a condescending attitude towards Pakistan, why is he so enamored of Pakistan all the time?
Can I please
respond
to
quickly
this?
respond to that?
Yes. Indian government has had a dialogue with Pakistan repeatedly under the Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji's government, including the post-2019 LOC ceasefire agreements.
All right, well, I really want to get back to the breaking news, and I'm running out of time. I need a comment from Mohammed Amin. Now information that that Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary says he hasn't been informed of any, meeting, and we do know that he is going to be a part of this meeting to appoint a new election commissioner. Or are we going to go into these elections with just one chief election commissioner? That also is something that is highly improper, isn't it?
Gargi, actually, just now the position of the Jammu and Kashmir is a 5-member parliament for the Lok Sabha and 4-member parliament for the Rajya Sabha. But the Rajya Sabha MPs are vacant due to there was from October 29, the president rule is there. So that's why there is no election, and that's why this is not fulfilled by that. But the government has nominated one from scheduled tribes, member of parliament, as a nominated member. Actually, yes. I'm going to tell you about the RP Act, that the first limitation has 1975, and second was 1995, and third was 2020. So ST seats are more, you can see. Earlier we had the total assembly seats for 83, and the 7 seats are developed for the after delimitation.
All right, sir, I'm completely out of time. Thank you so much to all my panelists. I'm sorry about, not giving everybody, we couldn't get another comment from Aditi Fadnis. But yes, the big breaking news will continue to track. Election Commissioner Arun Goyal has resigned. We don't know why, and it's a very surprising development coming just weeks ahead of the Lok Sabha elections.